hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of comic chat. And today, we come to the conclusion of Gotham War. An event that I've come to realize is the worst kind of event. So we saw this earlier with Nightmares, or with Night Terrors. That's an event designed to set up a bigger event. And I've come to the conclusion about Gotham War primarily because of what happened in this new issue of Batman taking place after the events of Gotham War. So I really just wanted to talk about this sort of weird Faustian Goldbergian Cronin. It's a very crap event. Alright? And let's be clear. On paper, this event sounded stupid but interesting. Quite like what is being compared to now, the War of Jokes and Riddles written by Tom King. And yes, we can attribute a lot of the current state of Batman to Tom King. Not the quality of each book, but sort of the tone and feel to it, because I think this is all kind of, for the most part, the same. But talking about this event is just sort of... It's not necessarily painful, but you can see everything going on here. You can see, okay, some mistakes have been made. It's because we're not really interested in telling this story. We're interested in just getting this character to another point to tell a better story. And this is Zdarsky's folly here, because I think he is capable of telling this story in an interesting way. And people are giving Tini Howard crap. I'll tell you this, Tini Howard's at least consistent with her portrayal of Catwoman, and Zdarsky's barely done anything in the Batman run to sort of explain this character. Alright? Howard's Catwoman is just Tini Howard's Catwoman. Right? The only character that comes out on top in this entire event is Tim Drake, which is great for Tim Drake fans. But anyway, let's just start this off. All right. So we last left off. Batman and Catwoman were like doing a thing. There was a fight. He did a thing to Jason and then Vandal Savage. So they come here. They're on the rooftop. She's like, "Oh my God, Bat, what's wrong?" And he sort of like lays it down, like, "Hey, what's been going on?" The craziness, the whole stuff with Scandal Savage. It is really just so stupid. Like, the problem with this book is I am not interested in explaining it because I don't think it deserves to be explained. Let me move this chair out of here. I'm just running out of space here. So, they're here. She's shocked and whatnot. There's like, in part, this story is about Batman and Catwoman, but all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we love each other. Let's have this be about." Was Gotham War supposed to be about Batman and Catwoman finding each other again? You know, after all the mess that was started during the events of Tinian's Batman run, where Selina left him after he lost all his money, and then finding their way back to each other. Okay, that's interesting. But then we have Vandal Savage and his plans, and Selina with her plans, and then the Bat family with their not plans. Like, a problem with Gotham War is that it's an event that doesn't know it's an event. Like, realistically, Gotham War takes place over the course of 3 books. Alright? There is Batman, where it starts, and kind of just starts. Catwoman, where it sort of continues, and the Gotham War line, where it's really just nothing. Alright? And to be fair, I think there's an interesting story between Batman and Catwoman in Gotham War, but the problem is Vandal Savage and his entire plot sort of gives everyone a reason not to talk about the issue itself. It's really gone full Civil War too, in the fact that, you know, over the course of the story, this whole fight with Tony and Carol, we're not really addressing the issue, which is, you know, can you arrest someone for a crime that they may commit in the future? Alright? Here, the question is, was it a good idea? And we have this weird thing about like, it's okay to steal from rich people. Rich people have a complaint about the fact they're being robbed. And this whole time, no one's addressed the fact Batman's rogues galleries teamed up and are taking over the city. So, here's the thing. We all kind of knew something like this would happen. Alright? But the problem is, the idea was so stupid that Batman had to stop. Like, hold on. You're gonna get these people killed. So I have to stop you before I can stop them. And no one bothers to address them. Like, every hero so far just sitting on their ass. Like, well, I don't know how to feel about this. But you know for a fact that the bad guys, the real bad guys, rather, the only person who seemed to have a plan for the bad guys was Tim Drake. Alright? Tim has apparently been ready to go the whole time. Tim, who couldn't really pick a side this whole time. Alright? So here's everybody. Scarecrow, Scarface, Firefly, I forget the Killer Moth, Black Mask, Two-Face, and this is the weirdest thing. Batman reveals in this story that, oh yeah, I found a piece of that meteorite that Vandal Savage used, and I just kept it there, and I didn't think about it until he bought the manor, and I just found out it's gone. And Jason points this out. Dude, you'd have figured that out months ago. The second he's found that meteor, he'd have already moved it somewhere else. And so now I was like, okay, what's going on here? The rogues are attacking? Okay, I've messed with Jason. I have to apologize to the Bat family. Alright, guys, I know we have had our differences before, but you guys remember when we kind of did this in Scott Snyder's Batman run? We gotta do that here, but none of the work's done. Alright, so meanwhile, Selina's upset that a bunch of the cronies she trained have signed up for Vandal Savage. It's almost like Selina didn't quite understand. Just because you teach them a skill, it doesn't mean they're going to not team up with henchmen for more. Alright, Batman's still talking to Batman Zero and R. Like, I've got you under control. Like, yeah, sure, dude, sure. And Selina's trying to figure out who she can trust, who she can't trust. Also, she can trust Batman. The Scarecrows attack the GCPD. The Bat family apparently is like totally impotent like this. What do we do? It's the Bat family. Batman finds out that Vandal Savage is actually tricking criminals to stealing those gems with the meteor pieces so he can attract a bigger meteor down here, which will blow everything up. But Vandal's like, no, I got this. And yeah, it's just terrible. Tim strapped to the bat signal. Duke Thomas comes like, I can be important. Frees Tim. Tim's like, time for me to fix this whole thing with the rogues. And he goes in, takes out the entire rogues gallery of Batman. And is like, you know what? I've been studying everything. Alright? Because my job is to help Batman. And I'll be damned if that when the time comes, I'm not here to help Batman to be, I guess, the second best Robin. When in reality, I'm pretty much the best Robin. Alright? But my insecurities won't let me admit that. Batman finds Vandal Savage, and Vandal's like, yo, I got this under control. I'll make you more too. Like, Vandal's like, look, dude, the meteor, it's gonna come. It's gonna kill us all. And they're like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm trying to call NASA. Alright? Jason's like, well, I'm still messed up from the drug. Let me just get in the Batwing and drive in and sacrifice myself. And yeah, so the drug, apparently whenever Jason's adrenaline goes up, he's supposed to be paralyzed with fear. So he overcomes that fear to sacrifice himself to save everybody. And he says like, hey, old man, you were wrong about me. There we go. And then the meteor comes down, and Vandal goes to touch like, this isn't the same meteor. Something's wrong. We'll never know what goes on. There's an explosion, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And Selina apparently dies, and then Selina's not dead, but Batman's not going to tell anybody. And Batman has this weird moment where he's like, looking at Dick Grayson like, hey, Dick, I'm not possessed by Batman Zero. That's not affecting me. Batman's he's like, yeah, I'm not messing with him. I'm not. I'm like, so he is, right? Like, we get this. Look, you were right to take me away from the Bat Box, Dick. All right? I'm too dangerous. All right? I've forgotten what it means. I'm obsessed with the mission. All right? I just wanted all of you to be happier than I was, to be better than I was. But apparently that's failed. So I'm going to go off and not be the example anyone needs to follow. They need to follow you and Babs, Dick. You and Babs. And he goes off. He talks to Riddler, who is apparently helping him, and then he gives a hint about the Joker. And apparently this is what Batman's real goal is, to deal with the Joker. This is what the mission is. So, why is this bad? Because even though I've explained it, here's the problem. This whole thing is to set up the Mind Bomb story. The Mind Bomb, the possession of Batman Zero and R, that is all what this was for. This was all here to set the stage for something else. But let's point out what we happened here. We just killed Jason Todd off, again, to further someone else's story. That's really what happened here. I said before, there was a good bet Jason was going to die just because of how the story was going on. He was the only one that seemed to have any real sort of goal that made some degree of sense in this story. He was the only member of the Bat family that's actually taking a position. Everyone else like, well, it looks like it's doing good, or it's like, this is a bad idea, and I'm not gonna really do anything. So the Bat family was pretty much useless. This really should have been like Civil War. In other words, members of the Bat family should have had to come with the fact they have to take this horrible position. In reality, if, say, the Bat family had worked together to curtail this, Selena's plan would have worked. But at the same time, what everyone said was going to happen was going to happen. And there's no real discussion about any of this. Oh, except one thing. Some dude has broken into Bruce's apartment, alright? And has found out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Alright, that's kind of it. And the whole time I'm thinking, well, that was definitely going to happen too. As Selena teaches a bunch of people how to steal professionally, at some point we're going to rob Bruce Wayne. He may not be a multi-billionaire, just a millionaire, but guess what? He's probably got some stuff that criminals would want to steal. So now someone knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Alright? And none of that seems to matter. Alright? It matters, but what's going to come from that, we don't know. Because in reality, this entire story was to half-ass everything. That's, in a way, the biggest crime of this Gotham War event. It's all half-assed. Alright? The whole teaching criminals to steal is never really discussed in a meaningful way. Alright? Everyone but Selena pretty much thinks it's a bad idea. Stephanie Brown's like, well, they're not committing murders, they're just stealing from people. Okay, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. So you're saying is you won't arrest them for stealing, but you'll arrest them for murder. So what happens if while stealing someone gets shot? That's pretty much how Batman took this position. And speaking of Batman, the whole Batman Zero-Hour thing is underdone too. It seems only Zdarsky was going to do it, which makes sense, it's his story. But I don't quite believe that everyone else is sort of acknowledging the fact. Now, Zdarsky's done some interesting work here. The use of the word mission comes about more because of Batman's mental state with Zero-Hour. It's called the mission. Right? The mission is all that matters now. The replacement of Bruce calling the Robins his sons has been replaced with him calling them soldiers. His decision to chemically mess with Jason is something Zero-Hour would do. In other words, he loves Jason, but he does not believe that Jason can be a hero. Bruce does. But Zero-Hour, i.e. pure cocaine Batman, doesn't. So he's like, okay, fine, we can't kill him, but you know what, let's make it so he can't do anything. Bruce wouldn't do this. Zero-Hour would, because it's the best of both worlds in that scenario. I can't kill him, but what if I just take him off the board? And it doesn't matter how bad I mess him up. That's what's going to happen. All right? And at some point, he'd have done the same to every member of the Bat family. All right? The second each of them stepped out of line more and more, he would eventually do that. And to Zdarsky's credit, he is more interested in that Zero-Hour story than he was the Gotham War story. And that is, in fact, the bigger problem. The Bat family doesn't take a real stance on anything. It's like, well, yeah, I feel bad, but no one's dying. The GCPD isn't involved in this. How do they deal with all this rampant theft? The Red Hood book at least went into the idea that some of these criminals are trying to, not be working for people like Scarecrow and Riddler and Joker, i.e. psychopathic criminals. They're like, well, if we just steal, we'd be good to go. But even some of them don't want to be immortal. They're like, well, I want to get to heaven and meet my mom. I'm like, you've worked with the Joker knowing what he's done. You're not going to heaven, son. You're still going to hell. All right, because you've decided to not murder and just keep stealing. That's also a sin. Just stop. You're not going to meet your mom. I'm sorry. Selena also doesn't really seem to get it either. It's like, I tried to teach them to not have to be henchmen for other people. And they became henchmen for Vandal Savage. I'm like, Selena, they're always going to be henchmen. All right? They do not have any real sort of skill or motivation. They will go for the next big payoff. All right? So what's the point of this? This event is worse than War of Jokes and Riddles because it's incompetently told. Because at the end of the day, where War of Jokes and Riddles is an ambitious idea that needed more time, Gotham War is an event done that is not supposed to matter. Or it's not supposed to set anything up other than Batman's Zero-Hour persona. Which sucks because we've killed off Jason. I mean, he'll be back at some point. I thought they'd have killed off Tim before they killed off Jason. They were never going to kill Dick Grayson. And Duke Thomas is not important enough to kill at all. They'll just move him further back. It's just, this event needs those deaths to matter. And Selina's not dead. Alright, Selena's supposed to be dead, but she's not dead. So what was the point of any of it? Alright, other than killing Jason? It's all for Mind Bomb. It's all for Mind Bomb. Alright, I read that first issue of the next part of the Dark Skin Batman. This has all been for Mind Bomb. This has all been for Zur-En-Arrh. So parts of the story that didn't make sense, of the Dark Skin run that didn't make sense, is because he's crafting a story leading to the end goal of Zur-En-Arrh. Alright? And why do I blame Tom King for this? Because we're still in the world created by Tom King's first Batman run. Alright? And this isn't to say that everything that happens is directly Tom King's fault, but I am tracing all of it back to the tone he set in his Batman run. Alright? So that Batman is competent, but he's also sort of self-loathing. He's constantly questioning, what kind of hero he is. He doesn't have a good opinion of himself, like at all. As much as I love the line, I'm not Batman because I'm happy, I'm Batman because I'm Batman. The further we went down the line, we see someone who doesn't think he makes much of an impact. We see someone who is kind of just bad at being a hero in some ways. And then this attempt to deconstruct Batman without being able to properly build him back up. When we come to Tynion's Batman, we see the same problem. We see a Batman that's sort of been so deconstructed that you can't help but attempt to put him back together and then break him down again. The death of Alfred at the hands of Bane never should have happened. I mean, it really shouldn't have, because now that death has sort of led writers like Tynion to go on and say, okay, we have to go from this angle here. This man who has lost his father for the second time, third if you count Flashpoint Batman. We're not going to count Flashpoint Batman. So he's lost two dads. All right, Commissioner Gordon's gone, so he's lost the third thing he has to a father. So yeah, he's kind of in the worst state ever. Tynion's whole idea of having Batman try to turn Gotham into something else, into something a bit better in honor of Alfred, doesn't quite work. We have Dick Grayson, who creates the Pennyworth Foundation. That book is dull as shit. All right, it just is. And it all really stems from the fact that the premise of Alfred dying has removed a certain grounded aspect to the Bat universe. And Tynion came in and pretty much said, oh, Joker knows that Bruce Wayne's Batman. He's always known. Well, I think I like Snyder's perspective that he can't connect the two. It's like, yeah, I went into the Batcave, walked up, and I guess I walked out of Wayne Manor, which meant someone was Batman? I don't know. And when Bruce Wayne goes to Arkham Asylum and shows him the card that Joker left, Joker's like, I don't get what you're saying. As much love or hate Snyder's Joker, I didn't like the idea that he cannot reconcile these two things. He just doesn't want to know. And I don't get. Apparently, I need to read that other Joker book coming out here, because I think that'll help me understand Joker going forward. Not that I ever understood him to begin with. It's just Gotham War is going to be, like I said, it's an event to set up another event. And what that means is any attempt to tell a really interesting story, really captivating story with these characters just doesn't work. All we've really done is kill Jason. I think it took less issues to kill him the last time. So I don't quite get it. And we're rambling. And we're just done. We're just done. We're just done. So anyway, with that in mind, if you're new to the Buck Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is Buck Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.